All right, let's do the starting quarterback rankings. I will be ranking every team's starting quarterback into tiers. So I've already done on the podcast a 1 through 32 list, but I like to do tier rankings too because I think sometimes people get too caught up in like, how could this guy be 1 and not, 2, or how could this guy be 7 and not 8, or stuff like that. When I think sometimes I view them very similarly. So I like doing tier rankings instead, or I guess I like doing them both. Let's get into my tier rankings. So first, I gotta explain the tiers. Elite, that goes without saying. Wins you games, then still good, then not bad, but there's issues. We then have bad today, maybe not tomorrow, and then finally just bad. So right off the bat, Cam Ward with Titans. I'm gonna go bad today, maybe not tomorrow. He's a rookie quarterback. You don't expect them to come into the league and light the world on fire. Sometimes it happens, but that feels like that should be a reasonable expectation right off the bat. We then have Tua, who I like Tua. I am a pro Tua person on the field. The issue with Tua is just like the injuries. So like not bad, but there's issues. The issues are he can't stay healthy, and like when he's on the field, he's certainly at least a tier above, but maybe 2 tiers above. But we just don't always see that. So because of that, I think I have to put him there. Then we have the Jets, who I'm willing to be nice with Justin Fields here, and I'm not going to just outright put him in the bad tier. I think like you could argue that, but I'll say bad today, maybe not tomorrow. Like we've yet to see him put it all together, but like there still is some potential there. Can't bank on it, but maybe it'll happen. Joe Burrow feels like an obvious one. Like elite, he's fantastic. He was great last year, despite them not even making the playoffs. Like, yeah, he's very good. Then we have the Browns, who I don't know who you want to put as their starting quarterback. I suppose Joe Flacco. It's just not a good situation right now. Joe Flacco, I like as a quarterback, done a lot of great things, but like I don't know if I'm banking on him in 2025 to be having a great season. We then have Trevor Lawrence, who I feel like has to go into bad today, maybe not tomorrow tier. We have seen him have good seasons, or at least good stretches. There was a stretch a couple years ago, second half of the year, where he looked like he put it all together, and it's complete. He's reaching his potential. And then it just didn't happen. And like, I don't know if I would, I don't know if what exactly happened there. Injuries definitely played a role, but like, yeah, that's kind of where I have him right now. We'll see if Liam Cohen can get things turned around. Then we have Jared Goff, who again, I know a lot of people are big Jared Goff fans. I'm going to put him in the still good tier. I think he's very good at running the offense and doing those types of things. I've often critiqued his ability to have success when the offense isn't working, and when you have to make other things happen. I don't think that's his strength. However, being in Detroit, luckily for him, you're not in that situation too often. So yeah, that's why I still think he's good. He's a good quarterback. We then have so with the Minnesota Vikings, JJ McCarthy. That has to be the bad today, maybe not tomorrow. It's unknown. We'll see how it works. Then we're gonna go with Baker Mayfield. And listen, most people would probably put him in the still good tier. I'm a biased Tampa Bay fan. I'm putting him in the wins you games tier. Listen, I was just so impressed with what he did last year and how many of those games. It wasn't perfect. He needs to protect the football better. That's absolutely true. But how many of those games were they just ravaged by injuries and he was just willing them to stay in the game? Like, the San Francisco game where he's stiff-arming Nick Bosa and finding ways to make that work. And like they lost that game. And there were other games like that where he played well and they ultimately just didn't have enough. The Kansas City game comes to mind as well. But like, there were also games where they won, and they only won because of him. He definitively won them games. I shouldn't say only won because of him, but he was the main reason they won several games. So because of that, I'm going to put him there. Am I being biased? Probably, but that's where I have him. We then have Brock Purdy, who I'm going to put in the still good tier. I do think that he, kind of like Baker, does need to protect the football a little bit better. I don't think he quite gives you the positives that Baker gives you, although he will still give you some positives. He will still make things above and beyond his pay grade. Well, not anymore, with certain plays. And runs the offense well enough for Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, good quarterback. Then we have Michael Penix Jr., who is definitely in the, made some rookie mistakes. You could argue I could even bump him up a tier if you wanted, because he did play well in 3 games. But again, I'm expecting some young player mistakes, and ultimately he'll be a good quarterback. That's what I think will happen. Lamar, again, no real discussion here. He's elite. Great quarterback. I think should have won MVP last year, although I thought Allen should have won it 2 years ago, so I guess it's a wash. But yeah, that's where I have him. And then we have Caleb Williams, who, again, is in the bad today, maybe not tomorrow tier. It's very much a tier I created for these young quarterbacks, and yeah, I didn't think he was great as a rookie, but ultimately much better situation now. We'll see if he can turn things around. We then have Dak Prescott, who I've just never been as high on as a lot of people have been. I think he does some nice things for Dallas. I do think he's an effective enough player, but I think there are issues. He doesn't tend to play well in the playoffs, but beyond that, I don't think he actually gives you as much when a play breaks down as people think he does, because he is athletic, but I don't know. He's a fine quarterback. He's totally fine. I just don't think he's quite on the level of a Jared Goff or a Brock Purdy, in my opinion. So keeping him a 1 tier below, and I think a healthy Tua I would take over Prescott. Maybe that's just me, but it's my tier list, so that's how I view it. CJ Stroud, yeah, good quarterback. I think that we were expecting more from him last year, because he was in this tier after his first year, and we're like, okay, well now he's gonna, in a couple years, he's gonna be awesome. And then he kind of was just the same guy again, which is still a good quarterback, but maybe you'd like a little bit more. I think that's reasonable. Then we have the Indianapolis Colts here with, it's either Anthony Richardson or it's Daniel Jones, which I just don't think is a great quarterback situation. I think I actually put Daniel Jones ahead of Justin Fields on my tier rankings, but I feel like Fields, there's at least more potential as of right now. Maybe you'll get something out of Jones. It's possible. You could have a Baker Mayfield type situation happen, but for now, we don't even know if he's going to start, so I'm going to put it in a bad situation, but there still is some potential, right? Same thing with Cleveland. There's some potential. Then the Rams with Matthew Stafford, who, last season, I did not think was his best year. In fact, I thought it was a bit of a down year for him last year. Then the playoffs happened, and he was Matthew Stafford again. So, he's a big game player. You trust him in the big spots, even if he's not going to give you that every single week at this point. He's always been a bit of an inconsistent player, but, he's still good, even at this point in his career. Has at times been, been great, including in the playoffs. We then have Justin Herbert, who people have really turned on Herbert after really just one bad playoff game. I know that they blew a big lead in his other playoff game. I didn't think that was really his fault. Listen, I'm going to put him into wins you games tier. He was an MVP candidate. He got a 4th place MVP vote. That wasn't crazy. He was a really good quarterback last year. He was incredibly efficient, and he had a bad playoff game. I'm still willing to put him in this tier. We then have maybe the most underrated quarterback in football, Geno Smith, who people that just look at the box score will act like Geno Smith is a bad quarterback. If you watch the games, Geno Smith is not a bad quarterback whatsoever. It was really good last year for Seattle. In fact, I'm going to bump him up. I'll bump him up to the wins you games tier. Why not? Why not have him in this stretch? He was great. He's been great. And again, in a tough situation, he finds ways to still get an effective offense going. And I think Raiders fans are going to be pleasantly surprised of what he brings to the table for them. Then we have Washington, who honestly, with Daniels, I could consider putting in the elite tier already. I think he was that good. Ultimately, just because it's only 1 year, I'm not going to go that crazy just yet. But while people have compared him and Stroud, I think he was a massive step above what Stroud was as a rookie. And I'm really excited to see what he will do in the future. We then have Patrick Mahomes. And I think I got to do this, which might upset some people, but I'm going to do it anyway. As you see, I'm adding a tier. I just think Mahomes is clear-cut number 1. I just do. And again, there's been a big push for, is Mahomes the best quarterback in football still? Because his box score stats haven't been as good. But if you watch these games, again, I'm telling you, the amount of times that the way that the Chiefs won last year was just, hey, Mahomes is going to have to make 12 throws every drive if we're going to have success, and he could make all 12 of those throws. It's very similar to early Tom Brady. I see a lot of comparisons between those two guys right now. I think he still has the explosive stuff in him. We see it every year against Buffalo. He can do that. Again, is he that much far ahead of the other three guys? I think you could argue they've gotten closer, but there's a reason why it's his team's always winning in the playoffs every year. You can say the defense all you want. Baltimore's had a better defense the past couple of years than Mahomes, and like the offense was just as good statistically as the defense was last year. If you look at points per drive, it's just they had so many long drives that it looked like they were a defensive team. No, Mahomes is great. Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. I think it should be not even a discussion. But again, feel free to disagree. I never said I'm right. Just these are my opinions. Tyler Shuck, again, was a second-round pick. We'll see if he works out, but a second-round unproven pick starting off, it's got to be in the bad tier for now. It could maybe work out, so maybe I should bump him up a tier, but I just feel like that situation feels like it should be bottom tier right now, so that's why I'm putting it there. But I also wasn't as crazy about Tyler Shuck as other people were, so we'll see. I could be wrong. Who knows with young quarterbacks? It's all a guessing game, but that's my guess. We then have the Giants with, I think Russell Wilson's going to be the guy. We'll see Jackson Dart eventually, but for Russell Wilson, I think not bad, but there's issues, feels fair. Like, there were some inconsistencies. That deep ball stuff was still really good in Pittsburgh, and it should be really good with the Giants. But yeah, that's kind of just where I view him, like that, bit of an older player as well, but should be fine for the Giants. We then have Jalen Hurts, who, again, it's a weird situation where I was actually going back and just watching some film from the Rams-Eagles game. I was some Jared Verse film for a Jared Verse video that I was making, and I was just kind of thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, he really didn't play well in this game. Like, this is a playoff game that he really didn't have a great performance in. He made a couple plays, but like, it wasn't his great game. Talking about Hurts here, it's weird how winning a ring definitely changes people in the changes people's mind, but also like he had a great conference championship and a really good Super Bowl. Like he deserves some extra credit. Ultimately, the question we ask about every quarterback is, could you win a Super Bowl with this guy at the helm? And we don't have to ask that question with the Eagles because we know they can. So I'm not going to put him in the elite tier just because he won a ring. It's a team sport. But he deserves extra credit. He deserves to be in that tier. He did a lot of really good stuff. And we'll see what happens. But did a lot of good stuff in that playoff run, even if it wasn't necessarily a top 7 quarterback in the regular season. In my opinion. The Steelers, so, okay, as of recording this, Aaron Rodgers has not signed with the Steelers. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. I'm going to just say Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, which, not bad, but there's issues. Feels like a tier made for Aaron Rodgers, quite frankly. There's some issues, and a lot of them aren't even his quarterback play. I think he's a pretty good quarterback still. I thought the play on the field for the Jets was not the issue, but ultimately, yeah, we all have our Aaron Rodgers takes. I do think his play on the field is vastly underrated. I think that he was actually pretty good last year. Wasn't great, wasn't prime Aaron Rodgers or anything like that, but he was a totally effective quarterback last year who, maybe invited too many friends to come with him, and maybe needed to get the chemistry down with some of these players, which seems like it might be an issue with Pittsburgh. Obviously, if Rodgers isn't there, this is bottom tier, but with Rodgers here, I assume going to be there, that's where I will have them. Then we have Bo Nix, who, I could be talked into still good. I'm going to keep him in not bad, but there's issues for now. Definitely a young player, though, who could climb up the ladder. I just feel like, I don't know, he effective quarterback. He can make things happen when play breaks down. Like, he runs the offense well. It's kind of weird. I just feel like, I want more. I just want more of when a play breaks down, making things work. I want him to be a little bit better at, running the offense, even though he's solid at those things, where are you an A+ at? He's like a B at everything. Where are you going to be the A+ at? I think that's the concern. And because of that, I guess that is the quote unquote issue that I have with Bo Nix. But I have to say, it feels like he's close to this tier. Maybe he will be able to climb the ladder at some point. But for now, that's where I have him. Jordan Love, I think, also belongs in this tier, like a really overrated quarterback, in my opinion. Someone who people talk about as though he's like a top 10 guy when he's never been that. That's not true. I actually have to correct myself. He has absolutely been a top 10 quarterback for stretches. He is so inconsistent as a player, but you can't just take the good. You have to take the bad. And I know he was banged up towards the beginning of this season, but how much was that why he was playing poorly, or was he just playing poorly? Because yes, then he did get hot and go on a run, but then he also then didn't end the season well. And this is, 2 seasons now where he's had really good stretches, but has yet to put it all together. If he puts it all together, the ceiling is much higher than a lot of other players. But like, people act like he's already there, and he just isn't at this point, in my opinion. We then have Bryce Young, who I have to say, again, it's kind of unfair because I just talked about Jordan Love, like, oh, well, his inconsistencies. But Bryce Young put together, I would say, a better stretch than Jordan Love has once he came back. People talk about Bryce Young as though, like, okay, he was horrible before he got benched, and that's absolutely true. And I had given up on him. I said, okay, this guy's just not going to work. But people talk about when he came back as like, oh, no, he was competent. He looked like he belonged in the NFL. He was really good. I feel like people really underestimate that, what he was able to do. So, like, I don't know. I don't think I can put him higher than the same tier as Jordan Love, just because, like, again, there are those, I need to see it for more than just that stretch. But, like, he was really good. We give Bryce Young some credit for that. I feel like he doesn't get enough for that stuff. We then have Kyler Murray, another player who I think is underrated. When I made my most underrated quarterbacks list, he didn't make that list as someone who I'm kind of in between wins you games and still good. I'm going to keep him in still good, but like, yeah, he's a good quarterback. Like, another guy who struggles with inconsistencies, but he gives you those bad games a lot less than some of the other guys who struggle with inconsistencies, and his good games are just like dominant. I just think, like, Kyle and I talked about it on the podcast, but like, his great game was like against the Jets, which, like, who cares? No one's watching that game. But like, he had some games where he was just like unstoppable. And again, we'll have the occasional down game. He played poorly against Seattle twice when they needed him to play well. Like, that's fair. But yeah, he's still a good quarterback. Josh Allen, of course, is elite. Again, some people have put him ahead of Mahomes. I don't get how you can do that. I don't know. I'm just higher on Mahomes, I guess, than other people are. But certainly you can make an argument for him as a top 2 quarterback. To me, Burrow, Lamar, and Allen, it's some combination of those in 2 to 4 is how I see it, which is why I wanted to make a tier list to display that. We then have, with the Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold, who I think I'm also going to put in the not bad, but there's issues. And the issue is just, it's 1 year, right? There are some other issues. I do think he holds on to the ball for a bit too long, but like, ultimately, he was good last year. He would maybe be a tier above, but like, I've only seen it for 1 year. So like, with him, Love, and Bryce Young, those are all guys who have played well enough to be a higher tier, and Tua as well, and even Bo Nix. But it's like, I need you to do it all the time for me to actually put you in that tier. Drake May, I think I'm still going to put in the bad today, maybe tomorrow. Similar to Penix, you could talk me into bumping him up a tier. Some rookie mistakes for sure, which you expect. The potential is through the roof, though. So we'll just see how quickly he can reach that potential. So, yeah, that is my tier list. Let me know in the comments below. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Always love hearing from y'all. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.